Welcome back to the reading vlog. It is Monday afternoon and I wanted to start the vlog because I do need to pick a new book and start that one and do my workout, all of that. And I just thought starting today is maybe a good idea. I still have 1 week of holiday, which is nice. I finished the last Kathy Rice book in the Temperance Brand series I own over the weekend. It is Speaking in Bones. It was kind of interesting. It is about web sleuthing. I talked about it in more detail in last week's vlog. If you haven't watched that yet, I'm gonna put it in the corner, whichever corner it is. I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars. I think the personal issues have kind of like gotten back into a balance that I find enjoyable in the book. And the case, had this bigger role and it was a really interesting case. With a lot of like religious aspects in there, but like not like normal religious people, but like really, really brainwashed, over the top fanatic religious people, which I'm pretty sure that most people would say, okay, yeah, they're crazy. It was a really interesting case that showcased that kind of a little bit. We had a lot more like forensic work in here, I felt like, and I really liked it. So I finished it over the weekend. And I also read another book, which is called Walking to Aldebaran by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This time around, I listened to the audiobook, and I have to say, I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't like the audiobook version. It is a short story about, like, it's a short horror sci-fi story about some astronauts who are investigating some, like an asteroid or something like that, and then the horror begins once they go into there, and it turns out to be kind of a portal thingy. I really liked the short story, just like reading it physically, but I felt the audiobook didn't really work for me for some reason. It was hard keeping my focus on the audiobook, which was sad but happens. The story is still great. I think I gave it 4 stars originally, and I stand by that because I feel like giving it less stars just because of the audiobook not working for me isn't fair. And I do have a new book to show you, which I will talk about later because I forgot upstairs and I don't want to go back upstairs. But my horror Illumicrate came on Saturday and I forgot to include it in last week's vlog. The book looks really cool. I haven't started it yet, but I will start that this week. So I will talk about it once I start that, and I will show you that. Now I will probably start reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I will give it a last try, and it will probably be a DNF, but I will give it one last try before I do that and do my workout whilst I start reading that one, and then we can talk a little bit about it tonight then, what I think of the beginning and if I am at all willing to continue that book, because it's the 3rd try now, and at some point I have to realize, that it's not working out between us. So that is what I will do now, and then I will see you all later. Okay, it is now the evening and I have a few updates for you. First of all, I bought myself some new glasses today. They will come in roughly 2 weeks. Mine are like broken for like years now. I never bothered to get them fixed, but they don't have like the inside anymore, and so it's really not ideal. Also, I got tested for my like sight again, and it got a little bit worse. So I needed new glasses, so I got some today, which was like years overdue, But glasses aren't covered by your insurance in Germany, so I took my time. I didn't want to pay. I'm gonna be honest. But that is the first thing that I did today. Then the second thing, I DNF'd this. I got maybe like 10, 20 pages in, and I was like, you know what? I have no interest in reading this book. I don't know why I'm trying again. It is incredibly dumb, to be honest, to try it again, because I just don't care. I really don't care about this book. It was definitely like I shouldn't have ever bought it. I knew I wouldn't care about the book, so I shouldn't have bought it, It is what it is. I DNF'd it. But to then compensate for that, I did start the next book directly, and so I did start with the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin, and restarting it, I remembered why I put it away when I first started reading it, because this is not a reread because I haven't ever finished it, but I did get, I don't know, like 100 pages in originally, and now 43 pages in. But this book is, I mean, if you don't know, it's about a world that is on the brink of ruin. There's like a cataclysmic event, and magic is pretty much like frowned upon. And there's a magic guild, and to pretty much like breed successors, they pair the people that get into this community, and they have to produce offspring. It is not a thing you can volunteer for. It's a thing you're forced to do. You don't know the guy if you are the woman, and women have to at least get like 3 kids or something like that with different guys. Like they get assigned to guys to get kids with them. And I really hated that fact the first time around, just because, I mean, it was a time that I wasn't really, in the mood to read books with such dark topics. And I'm personally not the biggest fan of like super, super dark topics. But it depends, I like thrillers and stuff like that. In those books, dark topics, I don't mind that much. But I have to be honest, in my fantasy, I do enjoy a little bit of like lighter topics, and a little bit more fun in my books, if I'm honest. So that is the reason why I didn't DNF it, but why I stopped reading it. I might get through it this time. We'll see. I don't know. I'm just not like a lot of the time. I don't care for such themes in my fantasy, but that is a really personal thing, And I think it's also like, you change a lot in your life. Parts of my life I would have gobbled this up. I know that, and yeah, the last few years just weren't that for me, and that is the reason why I struggled to get through this. But maybe I can get through it this time. It's just also really awkward, the relationship between the woman and the guy who are supposed to have a child together. It's like a really awkward thing in general, and I'm not good with awkward. I'm not good with people all around, which is the reason why I don't care for this book, because this is just about people. And if I'm like totally honest, I am not a people person. I don't know. People are hard for me. I struggle with people in general, just, yeah. But that is the reason. But yeah, I'm trying it. And then, as I promised, because I will start this one now, this is the book that came in the Horror Illumi Crate, the Evernight box, and that is called Murder Road. And I will edit in the original cover, because the original cover is so incredibly boring, and if I would have gotten the book with that cover, I would have been a lot more skeptical, and I'm totally honest. I love this cover. This one is really, really like, the, I don't know what's the name called. I feel like it's like a little bit of like 80s pop graphic style cover, and then once you take the dust jacket off, you have the map of the area and the town here, because it is a book about a town and people finding women and like victims kind of on the road and taking them into the next city, and then having trouble with the people in the city or the village, whatever. And somewhere in there is a lot of horror. Hopefully. But yeah, I will start this one now, and I did get myself an audiobook. I don't know if I will like it, so I will talk about it tomorrow, just to make sure that I actually like it. And then what I also did in the weekend, because I finally made the trip to the plant store, I finally got myself some succulents to put in the Illumi Crate plant pots, and I love it. I feel like it looks really, really cool and creepy a little bit. Like they look like a little bit of like alien plants, and I really love them. So yeah, I finally have some plants for these pots. Yesterday I didn't continue really much with the 5th season, so I'm pretty much at the same point in this one, but I will continue in a minute once I do my workout. But I did start Murder Road. And I don't know, I didn't read too much, to be honest. I read like the first 40 pages, and I don't know if I'm like loving it, but it's also really early, so I don't know how it's gonna continue. But I felt this feels really, really rushed in the beginning, and it's a lot of like the main character being like, oh, I have secrets, and then them being pulled over, like they stop for like the girl and bring her to a hospital, and then the police comes and is like, yeah, have you murdered her? And yeah, that's where I am pretty much. But I am interested to see how this continues, so I will continue probably tomorrow. For a reason, we went book shopping this morning. Like, I have like my partner is fantastic. He doesn't like the touch of paper, so he doesn't read physical books, he just listens to audiobooks. But he went with me and he drove me because I don't enjoy driving. He drove me half an hour away to the books. And I tried not to buy so much. I limited myself to 4 books, and 3 of the books cost as much as the other one. So let's start with the ones that weren't as expensive. I did finally purchase the Priory of the Orange Tree. This one I have on my wish list for quite some time now, and I just never picked it up because it is really big, you know. But I saw it in store and I was like, you know what, just pick it up, just try it at least. So yeah, it's by Samantha. I don't know. I have a hard time with that name. Shannon. And I do have the bonus season by her, but I haven't read that yet. So we'll see. I don't know if I will like it, but I heard so much good about it that I'm really interested to read this. Then I picked up 4 different genres, which I think was kind of a good idea to like pick from different genres. The next one I picked up is Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. This is a sci-fi that has sword fighting in it. It's pretty much like sci-fi samurai story. I don't really know much other than that it was mentioned by John Scalzi in the Cultural Preservation Society in the foreword, and he praises this as an inspiration. And I was really interested to read it, and when I saw it in store, I was like, you know what? Pick it up and just try it. Because it sounds really, really interesting. It's had something to do with the metaverse and hacking and some drugs that let people vanish, like they just poof and gone, like they don't exist anymore. And the main character is like a sword fighting hacker, and yeah, he's doing something. So that is Snow Crash. It is also a really, really popular book and an older book because this is the 30th anniversary edition. And then I picked up a horror book, which sounded really interesting. It's called The Paleontologist. And this is pretty much a night in the museum, but the horror adult version with paleontology as the main subject. And it sounded really interesting. I picked it up on random because I stood in front of the horror books and I really wanted to pick one. But let me be honest, ever since being home a lot and like, you know, looking books up online before I purchase them and then, you know, purchasing them online and stuff, I'm not good at like picking books on the spot in a bookshop. I realized that today. But yeah, so I picked this one up, and then the last one is the one that was the most expensive, but it just looked so good that I had to pick it up. And it is this wonderful version of the wonderful Wizard of Oz, and this is actually a really, really special edition, which they also had Alice in Wonderland in this edition, but I didn't pick it up because I already owned that one 3 times and I don't really need another version. But this one is a fully illustrated version with pop-up segments that you can like move, and there are some 3D glasses in here and some, you know, just like some special things. And yeah, I had to pick it up. I'm just gonna be honest, I really had to pick it up. And also I was really surprised because the bookstore rearranged, and they now have a really, really, really big classic section and mythology section with like actually mythology from all countries, like all over, not only like Greek mythology, which is what you see mostly, but also like Asian mythology and African mythology. So yeah, the next time I'm gonna go there, I plan on picking up a lot of mythology books. But this time around, I wanted, you know, some books that were on my wish list, like Snow Crash and The Prayer of the Orange Tree, and I don't think I have read The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, so this is also one I haven't read. Also, it's a wonderful classic, you know, but it was expensive, let me tell you. But yeah, those are the 4 books that I bought, which I think is more than enough. And yeah, let's be honest, tonight and tomorrow probably I will definitely directly read The Wizard of Oz, because that blue book looks wonderful and I want to read it directly, and then I will come back and read the other books, you know. As I told you yesterday, I think, I started The Wonderful Wizard of Oz yesterday and I finished it today. And I do think I actually read it already once as an ebook, but to be fair, I didn't remember much from it. This is a wonderful version. I gave it 4 stars. I think it's a cute story. I mean, obviously it reads more like a tale for a child, so that was absolutely fine. The version that I have, like, I really like the illustrations. I feel like it reads really, really nice like this. Though some of these, like, special pages I didn't quite understand, because they're just like, I had hoped they would be more of the interactive kind, but most of them are like just like bringing like different layers into the picture. But it looks really, really nice, and yeah, I would be tempted to buy more of these editions. There are more out there. I know that Alice in Wonderland is out there, and I think I've seen a few more. But yeah, the ones I'm really interested in, I already own in different versions, so I don't think it's the most sensible thing to do, since this cost 34 euros, so it isn't the cheapest book, you know. But yeah, 4 stars, it is a wonderful edition. I can tell you that, you know. But yeah, I finished it. So this can now go onto my classics shelf. And also, I don't know if I talked to you about that yesterday, but I did continue with this one yesterday also. So I'm now nearly 100 pages in. I am over the point where I stopped the last time, and I just, you know, try to like feel nothing about the situation, because it's such a frustrating thing, but I'm just trying to accept it as part of the world and not get angry about the fact that, you know, it's dumb. But other than that, I'm actually kind of really interested in the story. So yeah, maybe the last time that I read it, I just really wasn't ready for the book, or, you know, stuff like that, who knows. But yeah, I will continue with this one today, and then I also have to continue with this one, which I haven't continued with yet. But I might do that as a morning read and then this one as an afternoon read. So I will continue with this afternoon, and with this one probably tomorrow morning. So there's the plan right now. And then the books I bought yesterday, I do still have to put them on my TBR shelf. I haven't gotten around to that yet. But yeah, I will have to do that, and then I will try to sprinkle them in, but the focus is still on the books that I picked out at the beginning of the month, because I do really want to get through those. The really nice thing is that I'm actually, even with buying the new books, I'm still under 250 physical TBR books, which I'm really, really happy about. I have made it under that number now. So yeah, hopefully I will be able to read like 50 more of my TBR books this year, because I do want to get like at a maximum of 200. We'll see how that will go. Okay, one last clip before I start my audiobook and do like a good clean of this room and, you know, wind down for the evening. I continued with this one. The whole book feels so incredibly impersonal, and I have a hard time combining that with the hard-hitting things that happen in this book, because all of the 3 main characters like have been dealt a really, really bad card in life. Like, they all have like they belong to the same type of human who have like some magic abilities. They're called origins. And pretty much they're hated for what they are, and they suffer because of that, all 3 of them. But because the way the book is written is so incredibly impersonal, I find it hard to care about anything that is happening here, and that is what, as well as the hard-hitting topics of like having to um, make children because you don't have a choice, um, stuff like that, I find really, really hard to get into the book and to feel anything with the characters. So that is my main problem with the book. I mean, I'm now 150 pages in. Let me look. The book has like, I have like 300 pages left, so I'm 1/3 of the way through, and I will try to finish this, but I don't think I like the way the book is written. So yeah, I know I'm, I don't think it's the book for me, which is fair, I don't have to like every book. But yeah, to be honest, I can't really rationalize why so many people like the book. I can't. I'm gonna be honest, like it's not giving me anything, the book. It feels like I'm like an outsider looking in without any kind of involvement in the story and feeling like, I'm there in the story. I feel like somebody sitting there just watching it, and I find that to be not that nice, to be honest. It doesn't really get me to read more of the book, but I will continue with this during my workouts because it works, so that is fine. And now I will continue with the audiobook that I started yesterday because I finally found a new one, and it is called Shadow Man, an elusive psycho killer and the birth of FBI profiling by Ron Franchella. Franchel. And yeah, it's about the birth of FBI profiling and the first case in which that was used, and it is really interesting. It's pretty much like in a similar vein as like Mindhunters. It is that one, like in that vein. And yeah, it's really interesting because I find it interesting how the criminal system works, how they investigate, how police try to find out what happened and stuff. I think it's really interesting. And if I wouldn't have so many health problems, it might have been something I would be interested in doing at the job. I can't because my health, But yeah, I think it's a really interesting job. But yeah, so I will now listen to that, clean this room up because it's needed, and yeah, then I will just chill for the rest of the evening, listen to the audiobook, and that's it pretty much, Okay, so I continued with Murder Road, and I'm not sure what to feel about the book. I am just over halfway through, and I don't know. I have to say, I don't like or dislike the main characters. I think that is a big problem with the book, kind of. They're just such, like, kind of weird people. Like, both of them have obviously a bad, what's it called? A bad, like, history, like a bad life up to that point. They both have had hard times in their life and stuff. But they, I told you that they drove down the road and, they picked up the murdered girl. And now they have been cleared for the murder. They actually found a guy, like, they found, not the police, they found a guy with the backpack of the murdered girl in his truck. A truck which they have seen, and they have seen a girl in the truck bed when the truck drove off. And I know now that this is a supernatural horror, but to be honest, I didn't realize that from the description or from that. I only realized that because of the person in the truck, like the woman in the back of the truck, because the woman obviously has to be supernatural of some kind. And because reviews online said it, I didn't realize it from the book itself, which threw me off, to be honest. But then now they were cleared for the murder and they wanted to leave. And then because they saw like the ghost of the girl again, what they think of the ghost of the girl, which doesn't seem to be a ghost, but I don't know, I'm so confused about the book. But they drove back into the town and now they're trying to solve this mystery, which is so dumb because they were glad that they were, cleared. Everybody is really negative towards them. And they go back and investigate it for no reason. Like, it's I don't know. It doesn't make sense in my opinion. And coupled with the fact that I I'm really neutral about the main characters. It's, you know, it's really average. It doesn't stand out. It's a little bit on the illogical side, and yeah, it's not like badly written or anything, but it's also not like standing out in any way. So yeah, we'll see how this will continue, and I will now read a little bit of fifth season. So we see how that will go. But yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit irritating, that book. I don't really know what to make of it. Okay, let's do a quick check-in. So I finished two things yesterday. First of all, I finished the audiobook, the about the Shadow Man. I don't know, whatever. I in the last clip I told you what the audiobook was about. I finished that already because it was an incredibly interesting audiobook. I felt like it wasn't like, a piece where it only talked about the good things that happened and the, oh, we are so good and we like solved it directly and stuff like that. It was kind of a critical look, not like critical, but it was a self-reflecting look at the early work the behavior unit of the FBI did, and that was really, really interesting. I gave it 4 stars. I think it didn't like completely stand out to me, which is why I didn't give it 5 stars, but 4 stars, really, really interesting. Yeah, if you want like a look at early FBI work, listen to that. It was a really, really good audiobook as well. I mean, you could also read it, but I felt like the audiobook was really, really good. And then the second book I finished is Murder Road, and I have to be honest, I gave it 3 stars. I am really neutral about this book, which I think is actually fine. Um, it is kind of a supernatural thriller, I would say. It isn't particularly horror, in my opinion, because it wasn't scary at any point in the story, like for me. Um, and the supernatural is like really little. It's like such a small part of this book that if you don't know going in that it's supposed to be a supernatural horror, you won't really believe it to be. So yeah, it was in that direction as well, was really weird. Um, the main character, I warmed up a little bit to them towards the end of the video, though I still think they behaved at the beginning rather weirdly. But yeah, if you get to the ending, you know why. But it just feels off in the beginning, which is kind of the point of the story, I feel like, but it makes for weird reading, to be honest. So yeah, I like them more towards the end, but I'm still not the biggest fan of them. Like they're still, I don't know, they're not, they're just such neutral characters. I didn't feel like any strong emotions about any of this book, which is why I gave it 3 stars. I don't think it's bad, but it doesn't stand out, and it left me feeling really neutral about the book. And so yeah, I don't know, 3 stars. Could have been better, could have been worse. I wouldn't mind. Like, I don't mind reading it. I didn't mind reading it at all. It read relatively quickly. I do feel like it reads relatively young, so it reads more YA, even though our main characters are in their like mid 20s, I think. But it still reads relatively like young, which for me it doesn't always work out in horror books. And it doesn't feel like a horror book, but I get. But yeah, I like the design of the book. I don't know. It's not a bad book. I just don't think it's one I would go in like 2 years and be like, oh, I remember that. I think it's a really forgettable book, sadly. And yeah, so that is what I thought about this. With the fifth season, I'm making slow progress. I will continue with that now, get a quick workout in. And then I will need to pick a new book for tomorrow morning because the fifth season, I'm gonna take my time with it. I'm gonna use it as a workout book because it works fine for that. But I won't sit down, and just focus on reading it because for that I just am not interested enough in the book. So I will have to pick up the next book from my TBR tomorrow morning. So I will show you that tomorrow. Okay, ignore the background. I have just filmed my video for next Thursday. So yeah, you won't have seen it once this comes up, but but yeah, I filmed that yet, so I thought I'd keep you in the tripod, so it's a little bit different to look at, I wanted to give you an update. It is Saturday now. I technically wanted to read a lot this morning, but I am having problems with, like, I don't know if it's not insomnia. I don't have insomnia, but I'm having trouble sleeping at the moment. And I slept so little in the night that I just couldn't concentrate on a book this morning. So I haven't actually started the next book yet. So yeah, for that you will have to wait for the next vlog. But I wanted to give you a little bit of like an update. I am now halfway through the 5th season. I don't love it. I have to be honest. It's not the book for me. I will continue with it because I do use it as like an exercise book and really slowly make my way through it. I think like per day I'm reading like 20-30 pages. So I'm really not reading that much. But I'm slowly getting through it, and I don't know, I can't even really tell you why I don't like it so much, but I feel like most of these people are like really hostile because of their circumstances. It's not like a bad thing or like a critique per se, but I don't love people who are so hostile all of the time, especially oh, what is her name? Alabaster and what is Cyanide. Like, I don't get her. I really don't get her, and she's a big part of the book. And yeah, it's kind of annoying at times, to be honest. But yeah, so that is where I'm at with this one right now. I will get through it next week, most likely. So I will have read it then. I'm not DNFing it. But yeah, it's taking a lot longer than I would have wanted, and I expected, I mean, it is my 3rd try, so obviously it's not a fit for me, but yeah, I don't really see why everybody loves it so much. I have to be honest. I don't really get it, but that happens, we can't love everything. And yeah, I did start a new audiobook yesterday, which I actually got like quite a lot of the way through, and that is the first Bobbyverse book, which I'm gonna put the name here because I've forgotten it. But my partner absolutely loves that series of books, and I thought, we have the audiobooks, why not just listen to them? So I started with it, and I like it. I don't think it's a bad series. It's pretty much about a guy who, he sold his company and got a lot of money because of that, and so he goes to like a company that if he should die, they take his body and mind and freeze it so that he can be brought back to life once society has evolved, a lot further, and such a thing is possible. And then he dies in an accident, and he wakes up again, and he doesn't have a body anymore, and he's just a mind, and now he's a robot pretty much. Like, he doesn't even have his own body, he's just moving machinery around, and he is supposed to go to the stars and find a new home for humanity, because humanity, as in every good post-apocalyptic thingy and sci-fi series, humanity is destroying Earth and they need a new planet. And the book is just about that, about Bob going out into the universe and looking for a new home for humanity. And it is quite fun, I have to say. I like Bob's personality. He's like a little bit nerdy, but he's also kind of like just your average Joe pretty much, and it's really enjoyable. So yeah, I like it. I will continue with it. I'm not quite through, but I'm quite a lot through. And then I will continue with that series as audiobooks, probably, because I am on the waitlist for a few, but it takes how long it takes with my library. So in lieu of that, I will just listen to the Bobbyverse books, which, it is quite fun. And I needed a new sci-fi, so it was quite fitting. So yeah, but with that, I will end the vlog here because, I need to edit and all of that, and it is Saturday already, so I think it's fine. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the vlog, and hopefully I will see you in next week's vlog. Bye bye!